This first poem is called Stones. Thank you. A stranger handed me 2 stones, one in the shape of an arrow, the other in the shape of a heart. Both were tumbled and polished, rolling about in my hand, fingers rubbing the surface of limestone and quartz and other minerals that formed over time, before discovered by this man who walks for rocks, carries them in his pockets, hangs them from his neck, enough to build a fortress, enough to have on standby when a willing other crosses his path, welcoming the solid, firm feel of cold boulders. A nameless exchange completed, my pockets resounding with the grind of granite, tangible reminders of life that is to be lived. This one is called Rural Excursions. Number 1. I asked him to pose beside the Blessed Virgin of the roadside shrine. He declined. I protested. This is the only virgin with whom you will ever be photographed. He agreed with the premise, but proceeded to the car. Number 2. He drives, passing skyline of refineries, of grandiose buildings that memorialize the growing impurities of progress, while the sound of my shudder is drowned out by oldies radio, where the songs of my youth are now relegated to provide the soundtrack for a moving picture of dilapidated barns and abandoned farm equipment. Number 3. Postcard souvenirs with your inscriptions by my request will accessorize my scrapbook. I will place it beside the empty tin of chocolates you gave me on my birthday, now filled with pins and rocks and other trinkets from our travels, the most trips either of us ever took before you left on the ultimate journey. This one is, he thinks he is not a poet. He is not a poet, or so he thinks. His nonverbal communication articulates broad physical expressions of rhyme with rhythm. Language exists in fluid forms. Pens and notebooks are optional. Later, he speaks observations that flow musically but are fleeting words, evaporating into the atmosphere before being immortalized on paper. I remember those words as I sit alone in a cramped cafe. I can almost grab the syllables to turn them into tangible lines, yet they remain out of reach. Some poems are not meant to be written in conventional ways, but still exist. I feel them in the wind, I see them in the autumn leaves, I hear them in his voice, now in the distance between this life and another. How am I for time? 2 minutes? Okay. Firsts and lasts. A solitary dweller sat at the espresso bar, drinking a hot chocolate, eating a muffin of apple and almond in the garden shop amidst the painted planters and flowers. He stood at the protest holding a banner for an organization of which he became acquainted. When the media asked, he said it was his first time and confessed his activist virginity to the other comrades. He ate noodles and beef in a small Chinatown restaurant with a fork. After, he examined the artwork in the gallery, the abstracts, the posters. He read an alternative newspaper. We spoke about music, we argued about unions. I ate a gluten-free cupcake with pink frosting and a marshmallow. I was in the restaurant, I was at the protest. I walked through the gallery and we sat together to the tune of the bandura and the laughter from the other hall before heading back into our neighborhood of freshly paved sidewalks. I've got one more. Okay. This is called Fine Dining. Together, we went beyond our means. Che Guevara t-shirt, jeans, hoodie, fedora, backpack, met with judgmental stares from the lisping woman with fire engine red lipstick, a faux pas against her creamy skin. Explanations are needed for these exquisite morsels of delight we enjoy between sideways jokes of sarcasm. Let's blow bubbles in our drinks. No familiar faces. We are out of our element. Our choices would seem decadent to acquaintances who consume much of the same in a different context. The tuna is raw, followed by pink meat bathed in rich sauces. These are the tastes, colors, textures of decadence, resembling affluent lives. Half-baked accomplishments dressed up in pretension. Dilettante foodies, he pays the bill. Then we exit to a bus and a bike, taking one last look behind us in disbelief before returning to our usual world. Thank you very much.